So, dear audience, now that we all fed our microbiome with this high-quality food, let's talk a little bit about the role of probiotics in shaping the human gut microbiome. My name is Éliás, and I'm a dietitian for profession, working currently at the Faculty of Health Sciences. My aim is to formulate evidence-based and applicable recommendations for the use of probiotics in several conditions, and therefore my mission is to understand the role of probiotics in shaping the human gut microbiome and the consequences of several treatments on the intestinal flora in the diseased and in the healthy population as well. I have two ongoing projects. First, we investigated the effect of probiotics on the gut flora during antibiotic therapy, and secondly, we explored the effect of probiotics in the healthy population. The title of my first project is Probiotic Supplementation During Antibiotic Treatment is Unjustified in Maintaining the Gut Microbiome Diversity. Probiotic dietary supplements represent $1 billion market, which is expected to be still growing. We know that probiotics are widely used for several conditions. However, people who are treated with antibiotics receive 9 times more likely probiotic supplementation during their therapy. Antibiotics has a major impact on the gut microbiome. However, so on the gut microbiome, and this is one of the main main factor that can lead to the low diversity dysbiosis, which is a potentially harmful state, and it has been associated with several conditions like acute diarrheal disease, Clostridium difficile infection, and also with inflammatory bowel diseases. Probiotics are used to prevent this dysbiotic state. However, their clear effect on this post-antibiotic dysbiosis is still in question, and there is also a knowledge gap in the guidelines as well. Therefore, our aim was to summarize the effect of these products for antibiotic-induced dysbiosis, summarizing the results of randomized controlled trials. So our clinical question was, does the simultaneous probiotic supplementation during antibiotic therapy impact the post-antibiotic composition and diversity of the gut microbiome? Therefore, our investigated population was patients under antibiotic therapy. The intervention is the use of probiotics with the comparison of no probiotics, and our main outcomes were the gut microbiome diversity, but we also investigated the taxonomic composition. Here you can see the flowchart of the systematic search and selection. We screened nearly 12,000 articles. However, in the end, we were able only to include 15 articles in the systematic review and only 5 in the meta-analysis. We were able to quantitatively analyze 3 different diversity indices. Here you can see the first one, which is the Shannon Diversity Index. On the first figure, you can see the results when we measure the Shannon Diversity Index immediately after the end of the antibiotic therapy. And as you can see, there is no significant difference of probiotics in maintaining the gut microbiome diversity. On the second figure, you can see that we also performed a sensitivity analysis with a separate calculation for the change between the before-after values of Shannon Diversity Index in each article. And here you can see that in the change, here we didn't see any significant difference regardless of probiotic supplementation. The next index that we were able to analyze is the KO1 index, and here you can see that we performed the same calculations for the end of treatment values and for the change values as well, but in any of the case we didn't see any significant difference between the intervention and the control group. And I can say the same situation regarding the third diversity index that we investigated, which is the number of observed operational taxonomic units. So here again, we didn't see any significant effect of probiotics on the diversity. In conclusion, we can say that the meta-analysis of Shannon, the KO1, and the observed O2 diversity indices didn't reveal any significant effect of probiotics in maintaining the gut microbiome diversity during antibiotic therapy. We can say that the changes in the taxonomic composition were similar in the intervention and the control groups as well, however, differed between each study. And we can observe a clear tendency of restoration of microbiome in 3 to 8 weeks in both groups, regardless of the supplementation. The main strengths of our study that our results represent the highest level of evidence because we only included randomized control trials. And this is the first meta-analysis ever performed in this topic. However, we have some limitations as well, since we were able only to include a low number of studies with low sample sizes. And due to qualitative data reporting, we were not able to quantitatively analyze the huge amount of data that were available in these articles. And of course, the heterogeneity of the studies is also one of the limitations, because these studies used several indications for antibiotic therapy, and it varied which type of antibiotic they used and for how long, and it is the same for the probiotic supplementation as well. So the duration and the type of probiotics differed between the studies. So we can say, implication for practice, that probiotics are unjustified in maintaining the diversity of gut microbiome during antibiotic therapy. And in general, we can say that probiotics tend to have only a limited and very temporary effect on the gut microbiome composition as well. The implication for research is much more important because we have lack of standard units of measurement regarding microbiome indices, and we don't have a standardized follow-up periods and study protocols, which would allow us to generate more homogeneous data with increased clinical relevance. And we also have to define clear cutoff values for the ideal microbiome diversity indices. And the main goal is to evaluate the correlation between clinical manifestations and microbial composition and diversity indices. We submitted our article on Tuesday, and we hope that we will have a nice Christmas present, and we got no rejection until that, at least. And our second project is investigating the effect of probiotic supplementation on gut microbiome diversity, composition, and other health outcomes in the general healthy population. As I mentioned, probiotics dietary supplements a $1 billion market, and it is important to see that these products are marketed in part even toward healthy individuals without any medical reason, and actually their effect is not sufficiently summarized yet for this general healthy population. Therefore, we need a consistent and practical recommendation in this regard. And our aim was to summarize these effects on the healthy population using the data of randomized controlled trials. So our clinical question in this case is, does probiotic supplementation alter the composition and diversity of gut flora or other clinical parameter in the healthy population? So we investigating the general healthy population with or without probiotics, and basically we are interested in any clinical outcome that are reported in each article, but our main interest is still in the gut microbiome composition. We performed our search in March with the search key that you can see on the screen. And we finished the full text selection and already started the data extraction. And some of these data has been already sent to the statistician, which is the serum zonulin level and the fecal butyrate concentration. These will be secondary outcomes. However, we started with these two because of some reasons. The serum zonulin level is one of the markers that can describe the gut permeability. So to sum up the 15 months progress, we were able to submit our first article, and we are planning to finish the second project, at least in part, until March or during the springtime. Thank you for your kind attention. And I am happy to answer the questions.
Thank you, Anna, for your nice presentation, and congratulations on your progress. Are there any questions or comments in the audience? Yes.
Okay. So the first question would be, you mentioned that there are 3 indices that you could report on. How many indices exist, actually?
That's a very good question. A lot. I mean, in the articles that we were able to include in our systematic review, there were also alpha and beta diversity indices. From alpha diversity indices, there were around 8. Okay. I don't want to say it's around 8, yes. But beta diversity indices, we have additional 5. So. But I can imagine that there are more that are used, but not in these articles.
And the method when they were collecting and testing the gut microbiome, was it very different, or did they use similar tests by any chance? Or?
Yes, these were similar tests. So this article used this 16S RNA sequencing technique, so at least it was the same.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. My question would be, are there any side effects linked to the probiotic use for the healthy population? And if you know, are there any contraindications for using probiotics?
Thank you for your question. Regarding the adverse events, I just try to remember on the articles. It's not really common. I mean, there are some dropouts from the clinical trials because of some reported adverse events, but it's very rare, and sometimes these are mostly gastrointestinal symptoms, but it's not very common. And contraindication, actually, not yet. I mean, I can imagine that there are some cases where there will be, but as far as I know, there are not concrete contraindication yet in the guidelines.
Thank you.
Wonderful presentation. Well done, Anna. Just one short question. Do you think that the probiotic treatment, in addition to antibiotics, can undermine the antibiotic treatment? Is there any data that suggests that it can take away the effectiveness of antibiotic treatment?
I see. Thank you for the question. I don't think so. I mean, there were some articles that investigated, for example, the effectiveness of Helicobacter pylori infection with or without probiotics, and actually there was no difference, so I don't think it influences it. So.
Well done. I think we are out of time. Thank you very much, Anna.
Thank you.